The meeting is started at 6:06 p.m. Let's go ahead. Thank you all for attending. I really appreciate your time and the impact, the energy that you put into the community. I wanted to first open it up to our agenda. And has everyone had a minute to take a look at the meeting minutes from last month's meeting and make any amendments? If you have a quick chance to review that, and then we can go for a vote to approve those meeting minutes. Margaret, were you at our last meeting?
I was not, so I don't think I can make
You'll
a
abstain.
motion.
Okay.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay, so Dawn makes a motion. I second that. All on the committee in favor of that?
Don, yes.
Yep. All right, and then Angela, all right?
I have to abstain since I wasn't there.
That's right. Margaret abstains. All right, and then does anyone have any non-agenda public comment that they would like to bring up at this meeting? No? All right, well, going forward, we have Tom Mullaney here. He's with the park organization. He was at our last PCPB meeting and he provided a great presentation about the park master plan point system that was being proposed, and he was successful in helping stop that proposal with the city. And so he's come before us to get some support. So it's yours, Tom. And then when you're done with your presentation, we can go ahead and I can share with the group the letter and we can kind of go over that.
Yes. So, you know, there was an initial letter drafted that's just very short, and then you've drafted a longer version.
That's correct.
So, Mandy, you said your intention is to go back to the full board and ask them to approve the longer version?
That's correct. When I sent the draft with the meeting notice, several board members were like, oh, they would like to see like a bulleted, you know, position, not just, hey, we don't like the park master plan. They kind of wanted to have the why in there. And that's why I took some of your talking points that you've created for a past letter to the city council to mirror that and help emphasize and keep us, you know, keep the continuity. So that's where I went with that.
Okay, good. Let me see if I can share my screen. So you need to enable that, Mandy.
Yes. Let me try to share it right now and see if
it says disabled.
It does say disabled. Okay.
Yes.
Does anyone know? I've not had an issue with that.
You have to go in on settings. You go in your
Settings.
settings and then it says enable everyone to share screen.
Advanced sharing option.
Can you email
Oh,
it to
here, who can
Andy?
share? All participants. Okay.
Okay, that works.
All right, did it work?
I will click on the slides and let's see if that works.
Woo! Thank you so
Okay.
much.
We got it, huh? All right. My name's Tom Mullaney. I work with the group called the Parks and Recreation Coalition. And here's how we got started. When the city came out with their park plan last May, it was clear that a lot of communities were upset, a lot of people, a lot of organizations. We realized this city has no overall park advocacy group. If the city or Sandag or someone else came in and said, let's just cut all our parks in half, there really is no one group to speak up for the citizens. So that's why we started our group. And tell you a little bit about who we are. We consist of former city planners. We have architects, landscape architects, including park designers. In fact, one of our members is the former Park and Rec director of the city. And we have community planners like myself. I am a member of the Uptown Planners. So if you drive to Balboa Park, you're driving through the community of Uptown. So you can see there's lots of uses for parks. And this is an editorial from 1910. Park improvement is among the most important undertakings before the city. It should have the cooperation of all. Well, I'd like to see that come true. Let's see how we can do that. Now, The easiest way to see the city's plan and our park plan is this. Here's a traditional park. On the left side, we have some young folks, young adults having a picnic. Little green space. On the right side, we have organized sports. Well, these are only two of the things we need in parks. We need park space for outdoor concerts. We need areas for older citizens. We need volleyball, outdoor basketball courts. There are lots of needs for parks that we're well aware of. That's our vision. Here's the city's vision. This is right from their document, Parks Master Plan Vision. So notice that their vision is some asphalt. Apparently, part of a street has been reclaimed. It has a chain link fence here to keep the dogs in and a small astroturf area to walk or relieve the dogs. And then over here, there's some benches where you can sit down and buy something. Their plan also includes lots of retail establishments where you can buy something. So look, I understand that there's probably parts of each community that could have a small part of a street closed and used for something, especially if the street is wider than necessary. But honestly, you have to ask, is this really a vision for the future of the city? Let's see where that would take us. The city is projected to grow by 350,000 people in the next 30 years. 350,000. That's just the city of San Diego, not including the other 18 cities in the region. Yet their plan is based on getting more use out of existing parks. Well, clearly you can't do that. It might work for the first 1 year, the first 2 years, but each year the parks would get more and more crowded. As a master plan, it just makes no sense. Now, let's look at some other elements of their plan. They want to eliminate park standards and instead use a point system. Well, what would you get points for? Would you get points for a restroom if you need one, a kids' play area? That's fine. You'd also get points for anything you can add in the park. So they had the audacity to say that you could take half the trees out in a park and to give you more room to add other stuff without any mention of what the value is of the trees. So anyway, our little drawing here shows what will happen if you carry that out. You'll eventually be down to one tree, and then you'll have the maximum points. I want to emphasize here with the city's plan, the emphasis on counting. It's not on actual parks, it's on trying to count to make it appear that you have parks. Now, some of the goals in the plan are good. We want to provide parks for current and future residents. That's fine. We want to resolve inequities. And our group strongly supports that goal. There are communities that have little or no parks or parks that are run down, and they need attention and they need the support of the city. Now, I listed some goals that I wrote down after talking to some of your leaders in Peninsula. I know that Sunset Cliffs Park is that large area. Part of it's a large area near Point Loma Nazarene. And hopefully they're going to do more than put in parking lots and make that a real park. I haven't seen the plan, and at some point, maybe part of your group could show that to me. Formosa Canyon Park clearly is an important project. Now, the third aspect of this, new parkland, your community is 2/3 deficient in parks. You've only got 1/3 of the minimum standards that across the country park planners say is required. You only have 1/3. Many of your homes are not within a 5 or 10 minute walk of a park. So the answer is for residents, they have to put the kids and the adults in a car in order to get a little recreation. That's not the way it's supposed to be, and it doesn't have to be. The city can acquire some small areas for parks and 1 or 2 larger areas. Now, I understand the community plan is about 40 years old, 40 years old maybe. So I believe that Peninsula is going to need to create some kind of recreation plan. I would not wait for a community plan update. The reason is communities have not been winning on plan updates. Okay, I'm kind of smiling here, but it's not very funny. The planning department comes in with a goal to add 20 or 30,000 more residents to your community, and they're not that concerned what you think. But updating the recreation element, that would be an important project. What do Peninsula residents and businesses, what do you want in Park and Rec? The last item on my list, I'm going to ask for tonight to you to think about more, supporting adequate park planning for nearby communities in the city. And I'm going to explain later why that's important. Let's look at Peninsula here. So this is from a list that Mandy has that shows all 50 communities. Let's start at the top. Torrey Hills is a nice suburban community off I-5. They need 15 acres of parks. They have no deficiencies at all. They are 100% supplied in parks. So it can happen, especially in newer communities. Let's go to an older community, Linda Vista. Needs 85 acres of parks. They're only short 5%. So they have a small deficiency of about 6%. They're in pretty good shape. Now, Sabre Springs, let's go back out to the suburbs though. You're being told at times that the suburbs have all wonderful parks and that they can actually provide a bunch of money to fix up older neighborhoods. Well, I kind of doubt that's true. You'll see here, Sabre Springs, requirement 31 acres. They're deficient 16, so they're deficient 52%. Now, they may have more space where parks can be added, and maybe they have a plan to fix that. But at the time these figures were released by the city, they were short 52% of their parks. Let's look at Peninsula. Based on your population, at a minimum standard of 2.8 acres for every 1,000 people, you'd need 103 acres of parks. You're deficient 70 acres. And I put a question mark because I think we need to look at the city maps and see what they're actually counting. I'm concerned that maybe in the 33 acres, they're counting parking lots, maybe even the cliffs themselves in Sunset Cliffs. I'd like to see what they're counting. But based on their figures, shows Peninsula is short 68% of the minimum park acreage you should have. My community, Uptown, also terribly deficient, 88%. And I'll just show you the worst one. Golden Hill has no parks at all in their communities. So Golden Hill relies 100% on being able to use a portion of Balboa Park. That might be okay, except that the rec center is about 100 years old and the park is not very useful for them. In summary, we're looking at a citywide problem for parks. So I'd like to mention why it's important for Peninsula to support other parks. Another community asked us, hey, what's in it for us? If the city goes ahead with their plan and they don't listen to anything you're doing in your organization, Tom, what's in it for us? Well, I'll tell you what's in it for us. Try to picture 350,000 people added to this city without adequate parks. Where are they going to go? They're going to go for the cool ocean breezes. They're going to go for the coastal communities. They already come there. Well, add 350,000 more. So nearby communities, Ocean Beach, Mission Beach, Pacific Beach, Mission Valley, Claremont, downtown, all seriously park deficient. I'd like to think the city's learning from their mistakes, but they're not. So the projects that were just approved in the last 2 years on Marina Boulevard, they're creating huge new deficiencies. And not enough was done about this, not enough was said. One of their projects has about 10,000 people planned. They need a minimum of 20 acres and they planned 1 acre. So I'm trying to tell you that the planning the city's doing right now is incredibly park deficient. So I just want to briefly highlight some of the things wrong with the city's plan and what to do about it. Less parkland. They're not planning enough parkland. They want to completely drop the standard for park acres. So let's think about that chart that I just sent to Mandy that shows that you're short so many acres of parks. If their new plan is adopted, you won't even get to argue about park shortages because there won't be park shortages. They're literally going to define away park shortages by taking away the park standard. They're not planning at all for passive recreation. What they're saying is, well, you can have a tot lot and a restroom and maybe a concession stand there where someone's selling something, and just the amount of park to accommodate that. Well, where would you throw a Frisbee? Where would you kick a ball? Where would you have a picnic? Our group is insisting on enough parkland for active and passive recreation. The other aspect of this, community involvement. I think we found community leaders are angry about what the city has done. Last summer, when they went to CPC said, well, you need to go out to the individual planning groups and explain how this would affect their group. You know what they said? They don't have time for that. So here's a planning department with 75 people. They don't have time to analyze their plan and explain it to you. Well, my group has 10 or 15 people working on this presentation right now. How can we do it? And the city with their multi-million-dollar budget, they can't do it. I think the fact is, I don't think they want to hear what you think. In a democracy, that's a big problem. So we are asking that the city consult with planning groups and also the recreation advisory groups. That is essential. We know that adequate funding is needed. The city is trying to stretch impact fees to serve all 50 communities, and it just can't be done. I mean, even the wealthiest developer can't be charged enough money to solve all the park problems in the city. So they need adequate funding. They need to face that. The equity issue. The city's trying to identify communities without adequate parks, especially lower income communities. Certainly, people in many communities cannot afford a gym membership or something like that. That's especially true in the lower and moderate income communities. So the city clearly needs to pay more attention to that. To do that, they need funding sources. Now, I want to just mention the point system because you may have heard about that. Some people smile, some people laugh. I think it kind of makes me groan. They have said, here's how their point system would work. A developer who put in a sign in a park, an interpretive sign of some kind, maybe explaining what kind of trees it has, would get the same credit as if he put in a 1 acre park. Well, what would a developer do? He would take the cheap and easy way. Any developer would. So the city has no right to design a program that is that's that goofy, and we have to get that part of it fixed. We have to fix that part of it. The point system cannot go forward as it's currently written. We'd be the laughingstock of America with the point system we'd wind up with. Now, we don't think this is going to take a long time. The existing plan is 50 years old. So, we don't think it needs to be rushed through. Mayor Faulkner was trying to rush this through and his people before the election. We were able to stop that. So we can take the time that's needed. The letter of support, Mandy has already included in a letter support the park master plan as recommended by our group. The letter's already been drafted. Mandy, if that letter is not finalized yet, we would ask you to add a paragraph that the city staff work with community planning groups, recreation advisory group, and park to obtain input. Okay. Do you think that's feasible? Mandy, you're muted there.
Sorry about that. Yes, that would definitely, I think I have a line in that already, but yes, I would definitely add to make sure that it's cleared to include park in that as well. Can you just
Okay.
take a copy of that and put it in the chat for me, please?
I will. I'll do that. I'll do that right now.
Thank you,
And
Tom.
so we say thank you. And I would like to read the final paragraph here. A park is unlike any other asset in the city. It's not a building, nor a production line, nor a warm breeze. A park is a living, growing thing that will die if the will of the people dies, or it will flourish as much as they want it to. And that's why we appreciate your support so much. Let's all keep our eye on how to obtain the parks that we need. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to
I
quit
will
sharing your
I
screen?
will stop the share. And then I can use the, okay.
You want to put that in the chat, and then I'll pull up the letter, and then I'll share the screen. One moment. Okay. All right, here we go. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and share the screen. Okay, can everyone see it? All right. Don, can you see it, or do you want me to read it out loud to you?
I can see it.
You can, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and go through there. I'm gonna kind of just slowly scroll as you start reading that.
So what you got on the screen, it seems like there may be some extraneous material about a quadrant system.
A closed system?
A quadrant,
a
four squares. Gartner, the world's leading information.
Say that 1 second. Say that again, Don.
There looks like there's an extraneous report of some kind on the screen. Gartner, Gartner, the world's leading information technology, yada, yada.
Oh.
Okay.
That's what's on your screen?
That's what's on my screen.
All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to read it to you, Don. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The Peninsula Community Planning Board is in support of the Parks and Recreation Coalition recommendation to the City of San Diego Mayor, City Council, and Parks and Recreation that the Parks Master Plan and Recreation Element amendments should not be adopted. The City of San Diego has added 74,000 units of housing capacity since 2014 through community plan updates in neighborhoods already lacking in parkland. It would be fundamentally wrong to adopt an approach that values adding amenities to existing parks over obtaining more park acreage. Based on the current standard of 2.8 acres per 1,000 residents, the peninsula should have 102.72 acres of park space, but currently we only have 32.75 acres, resulting in a 69.97 acre deficiency of designated park space in our community. Designated park space in our community is used by tourists, from City of San Diego residents, from other communities, and from the other 17 cities in the region. Specifically, the PCPB is not in favor of the following proposed changes to the Park Master Plan. The draft point systems includes both acreage and amenities with a target of 14 points per 1,000 population. This is a closed system which pits parkland against recreational amenities. All parks needed land and appropriate amenities. The public should not be asked to accept either or. This approach will not provide an adequate system. The proposed scoring system is faulty. It does not assign value for each acre of land. Acreage values cannot be compared to recreational amenities using the same metrics. The values assigned to amenities are arbitrary and subjective. One moment. Christopher, please leave this room.
No, can you please?
No, I am on a call.
I will stay here.
Thank you. Sorry about that. In addition to discounting the importance of land needed to support our growing population, the city proposes changes to commercialized parks without adequate controls by removing the following language: protect parks from commercialization and privatization, and adding language opening parks to a long list of commercial and other retail uses. This would be a step backwards. We support the goal of improved equity if the aim is to make the park deficient communities equal to the park sufficient communities. This cannot be achieved in a system which greatly discounts the value of parkland. A small, poorly equipped park with some amenities added is still a small park, not adequate to serve existing and future residents. We are concerned that the proposed plan will perpetuate inequities rather than rectify them. The motion to support was approved with a unanimous vote of 8-0. Thank you for your support and time and consideration on this matter. Sincerely, Frederick Cosmo. I'd like to go ahead and open it up to the group for discussion.
I've got a kind of a question, Mandy.
Yes.
What you read here is much, Tom did a fine presentation at our board meeting.
Yes.
It was clear the board supported his position. What you've read here is quite a bit longer than we seem to be approving at that board meeting. Has something happened here?
It has, because what you remember with the meeting, they said to go back to the committee and they wanted some clear positions as to the why, not just why. They didn't want just a letter of support. They kind of wanted to build into that as to why we were opposed to it. And that's why I've added more of these points to support that.
Really quickly, I was gonna say too, that I lost the purpose of the letter too, because it was extremely long.
Say that again,
Is there-
Margaret.
I said that the letter is extremely well written. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I was
Thank you,
going to say
Tom.
that I lost the point, the ask in the letter because it was extremely long.
Yeah, do you want to, I mean, I can definitely bring that down. I do want to add the recommendation at the end to include that we ask the city to work with, we request that
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
I can add that. What would you
I
like
would say
to?
the ask at the very end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so going up in the beginning, this in support, the first paragraph, the Peninsula is in support of the Parks and Recreation Coalition, that part?
Yeah, whatever the ask is, like, what do we want the city to do?
Well, Mandy, I would like to comment on that. I think the first paragraph you have here is part of a request. And I think the part that you just copied in probably should go with that. That could be made clearer if there was a heading. For instance, those two paragraphs are your request, and then the rest of it is an explanation.
Yeah, do you want me to take off this first paragraph?
Well, I know, I think it should be up front because I
Okay.
think people, I would take that other part you clipped in and put it in as the second
Oh,
paragraph.
on the second paragraph. Okay, rather than at the bottom. All right.
If I could say something, Mandy.
Yes, go ahead.
I submitted as an addendum to this, and it's growing horribly, horribly wrong, that we have the opportunity to get 2 parks in Point Loma at very little cost. We have a pocket park, 3/4 of an acre. It's gotten approvals at all levels. It has been completely designed. It is ready to go to bid. And also I put in that Formosa Canyon, 5 acres of open space, and it's been de facto open space.
I love that idea, Don, and make it bold and clear
Yeah.
that part
So
is an ask.
I'm lobbying for inclusion in that in some way. I think everybody understands that that Point Loma was developed before modern planning, and we built, but we didn't put in open spaces. And we have very few opportunities in Point Loma. So a lot of information here on statistics, and I think people get that. We desperately need passive parks, little small parks where people can have a backyard. Bill Cleater Park is wonderful, but it's for recreation. It's not for a picnic. It's not for seniors to stroll around and watch. There's a huge emphasis on recreation and nothing for the other types of parks. The point system is so flawed. For this passive park, it would get the very minimal score. Why? Because it doesn't have a bathroom. Well, the neighborhood doesn't want a bathroom. It would get a passive score because it doesn't have 35 acres of recreational fields. It doesn't have supervised recreational programs. So I'm both a member of the Peninsula Planning Board and I'm a member of the Recreation Advisory Group. So I think rather than having so much on statistics, I'd like to have that we have the opportunity to get 2 parks very quickly. Formosa Canyon, apparently the going price for this land is $800,000, but there's a catch. The city's giving back $900,000 in a loan that will never be repaid. We could get Formosa Canyon transferred to Park and Rec for a smaller amount of money. I just think we're spending way too much on the statistics of being underparked and what are we going to do about it? And I don't think the city, this was not thoroughly vetted by the public. They did this in between meetings of the community planning boards. The community planning boards couldn't even get this on the agenda and vote on it. It fell awkwardly. And this also, as there's a provision in this, as I understand, and it didn't get voted on, it didn't get approved for a reason. Communities could steal money from other areas. The inner cities probably would never see the money and don't have large areas for parks. And it's just a very horrible system. But nobody's going to read about 3 pages of material. We support
I agree.
Tom and Park, and we just wanted to put a couple more points in. That's where I'm alarmed. It's a fine presentation, and we're preaching to the choir in many respects.
So I guess my concern is with that motion that we made to review this letter at the last board meeting. I mean, I agree with you with regards to Formosa and the park, the pocket park that you've been working on for passive. How would you like to have that written into the letter, Don?
Well, I think what I sent you, I had added that on to a very much more brief letter that the board seemed to support. And now we're going in 2 directions, I think.
I'm going to quit sharing really quick. Don, did you email that to me?
Yes, I did.
I apologize for not seeing that. I'm gonna go look at that.
And I think I followed that up with another email to
Oh.
confirm that you received it. But I know you've got a lot of things on.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Let's take a look. All right.
Let me just read it to you out loud if you're having trouble finding it.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so at the bottom of the very abbreviated letter that the board seemed to approve from Park and Tom Mullaney, I added this language. Further, the Peninsula Community Planning Board specifically opposes the proposed point rating system for parks. It would prevent Point Loma ever qualifying for new or expanded parks. Worse, it would allow money specifically allocated for Point Loma, District 2, to be transferred to other districts. Point Loma has 2 proposed parks that can be added relatively inexpensively. We encourage the Park and Recreation Department and the City Council to pursue adding these parks. 1, a pocket park on city-owned land at the end of Avenida de Portugal, Canyon Street Park under the city's working title. This 3/4 acre site has been approved unanimously at every level, including the park board.
Oh, here it is.
It has been fully designed and is ready to go to bid. It's ready. The city is, after 6.5 years of diddling around,
All
the
right.
city is claiming it has no money.
All right. So I found that. Dawn, you sent it to my other email. I apologize for the inconvenience. Let me go ahead and share the screen on this just so that we
I
can.
really love how that sounded. It was to the point for District 2.
Yeah, let me hold on one moment while I pull it up.
Was that a letter that what was that Dawn was reading?
He sent it to me. He sent it to my other email, my Mandy.Havlik Gmail.
Okay.
So I didn't see it.
That's okay.
Sorry about that. Can everyone see it? I have
Yeah.
the screen sharing. Okay.
You know,
It's the
Don,
blue.
when I was looking at the City of San Diego parks, you know, to find out which parks were in the peninsula, they have the Cannon Street designated as a mini park.
Well, the mini park is a wrong word.
Well, they
There are a
just
couple
all
things
it does
across.
is-
There are a
yeah.
couple things across Canyon Street that are hidden little parks. They're mini parks. They exist. Many people don't know they exist because you can't see them. So this is a pocket park, 3/4 acre. It is in the community plan as a possible park. It's city-owned land. About 10, 12 years ago, it was transferred from Public Works to the Park and Recreation Department. And it's gone through all the approvals. It's been thoroughly designed. We've got a piece of public art to go in it, along with the Portuguese history. And the public art has some money for it. So I put in 6.5 years of my life on this, and I would just like to be able to bring up briefly that we can have 2 parks here very cheaply. It kind of works in line with the goal that Tom and others
Right.
are expressing.
No, I was just curious because I noticed that at the end of that Avenida de Portugal, they had on their map, you know, San Diego Parks and Rec, a Cannon Street mini park. That's
Mini park is not the word to use here because there are 2, they're about the size of a backyard. They're 2 mini parks and it's going to confuse people to call it that.
No, I'm just saying this is what they have on their website. I was surprised. It has 1.3 acres.
All right. So On the Parks and Rec site?
Yeah, I can pull it up. You want me to share?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do like that idea of showing, not only saying, hey, we don't agree with the, the proposed park master plan. And here are 2 sites that, we have that are ready to go that would help with that deficiency.
We have to be inventive. We don't have vast acres of
Not letting me-
unused land. And we're never going to get a 35-acre park put in the middle of all these houses. Something that Tom may not be aware of, the city is real big on granny flats right now, adding them left and right. The city doesn't charge any development impact fee for the granny flats. So you're adding more people, you're adding cars with no added parking space, and you're not paying any fees. So there's no money to even develop these parks. We've got 2 that we can do very cheaply.
Yeah, I had a lecture today on all the granny flats and how easy it is to do the ADUs and stuff here in Point Loma.
Okay. Yeah, they're really trying to push that as an
Yeah.
option for sure. All right, so Dawn, thank you. I have the letter here. I've shared it with everyone. I do like the idea of presenting options. Hey, we have a solution for this deficiency. I just need some direction with this letter. So I'm open to edits. I can bring up the other letter. Do you want to go back to just, I guess I
Well,
just need. some
Obviously,
direction.
I talked at the board meeting, sending it to the committee. And I think I mentioned that I wanted to add something to that. Everybody supported Park and their letter. And that's kind of grown about 4 times. And nobody's going to read, 4-page report.
Okay. Sure, and
You
that's
know-
totally fine. So where, do you want us to,
Mandy, I have a recommendation there.
yeah,
It is true that the board approved a fairly short version. Other communities are doing what Don suggested, though. They're adding some specific things that are needed in this community. What you could do, Mandy, is take all the other things you've written and put it in an addendum and say, for explanation of our reasoning, see the addendum.
See,
Yeah.
the only thing I have a concern with that is we're supposed to be an advisory park committee for District 2. So currently we're not focused on our needs for our community with this group and this letter. Does that make sense?
I know we're talking at the entire peninsula, but if we want to boil it down just to the peninsula specifically, we can add Don's recommendations.
Because otherwise, if this gets sent to the city, it's a broad spectrum.
How about we do this? I have an idea. How about if I like the first paragraph for sure. Would we go ahead and then just add Don's addendum to that? And then what I could do is add Tom's letter that we pulled a lot of this from as an enclosure. And then just
You'd have to read it to us again or send it to us via email for approval.
Yeah.
Tom, I'd like to clarify something. The peninsula is split up about 4 different ways with Park and Rec. You may think that it's Point Loma is like we see it. The Rhodes Park is actually part of the Mission Bay sector. Ocean Beach has its own sector. What we think of as District 2 is a third sector. And then NTC Park is actually part of downtown. So you're dealing with a bureaucracy that splits it up in 4 different ways.
That is complicated. How about Rob Field? What's that part of?
That's mission. Isn't that
Robb's
mission?
Field is part of Mission Bay.
That's Mission Bay also. And what is District 2? You're not talking about City Council District 2.
I am.
Okay. Where's that portion?
Well, that would include,
That would include 4
Claremont.
different
I
sectors
see.
of the
It's a
park and
larger.
rec.
yeah, it's a
larger-
larger
yeah.
boundary.
Right. And today's meeting is the Parks and Recreation Subcommittee
Yes,
That is correct.
of the Peninsula Planning Board.
Correct.
that's
And to
correct.
help it go a step further, District 2 for parks is budget. So that's my big thing is when we're doing these asks, is what I call it, we look at the budgets for District 2. So if we're doing a large ask for other areas, I don't know, it'd be like we're asking for that budget to go pretty much anywhere. See what I'm saying?
On the final paragraph, really, I just need some direction as to how we need to format it. What is it that you don't like from it?
I think the letter needs to be cut in half.
Cut in half. Okay.
It's got to be brief.
Yes, I agree.
All right. So I guess that's where I'm wanting to pull off. I like the first paragraph for sure. Going through, where do you think we need to pull off this information? That's what I'm asking.
Well, when you say the first paragraph, are you talking about Tom's or my?
Okay, so my question is, it sounds to me like the second letter you like the wording of that second letter that Dawn provided, and we want to reduce the size of the letter, and I'm fine with that. I just need to get some more direction as to what you want cut from the letter and where you want to have the ask for Famosa and for the Pocket Park. So.
Well, I guess what I was saying, go with the short initial thing that we were going to send out.
Okay.
And it was approved. Eliminate a lot of these statistics and so forth. We know we're underparked. We don't have to prove it. I can condense my addition to a little bit. One paragraph on the already approved Pocket Park. And then what is very, very timely is Formosa Canyon. And we can condense that a little bit.
All right, I'm going to just stop sharing really quick so I can get this taken care of. I do appreciate your patience. I'm not feeling the best. And yeah, we'll get there.
I think that we can all probably agree on that the city isn't going to do a new plan for the peninsula. It takes about 10 years and it costs $1 million or more. And they just aren't going to do it. OB got a master plan, but we're just not going to be able to qualify. They said that so quite directly.
Well, and I've mentioned, Don, you don't want a community plan update. Communities are not winning on their
No.
plan updates.
That's a dead issue. We agree.
Yeah.
Okay, one moment while I just clean this up. I think I've changed it. Oh, see.
I'm sorry, Manny. I didn't realize you had two emails. I'm not sure I even know the
Yeah,
other
so I don't know. It's my personal, the Havlik Mandy one is the best one to reach, but that's okay. We'll get through it. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm gonna just kind of pull this up and share the screen now. I just copy and pasted and formatted it a little bit differently. Okay. All right. So I just copy and pasted the additions that Don gave me. Apologies. So I'm going to reread it. Can everyone take a minute? I'm going to read it out loud, just so that we're all on the same page. All right, so it reads, the Peninsula Community Planning Board is in support of the Parks and Recreation Coalition recommendation to the City of San Diego Parks and Recreation, advocating to support the improvements to the Park Master Plan and Recreation element recommended by Park, and send a letter of support to the Mayor and City Council requesting that city staff be directed to work with community planning groups, recreational advisory groups, and Park for input.
Mandy, could we pause there just a minute?
Sure.
Okay, so it's a little awkward because this is the wording that was discussed before, but it's inappropriate to include send a letter because this is the letter. So I'd like to recommend that where you say recreation element recommended by Park, put a period.
Okay.
Okay. And then simply put, we request that the mayor and city council. So we request
We request the mayor.
we request that
Mayor and city council,
yeah, the mayor and city council.
instead of be directed, because they direct themselves, that
Right.
they work with.
And the city council.
Well, we request
To-
that the mayor and city council direct, our original memo said direct city staff to work with.
Okay,
Yeah, that's okay. City council to direct city staff to work with.
Oh,
I think that's it.
okay.
We request that the mayor and city council. You have the word "to" is unneeded there, so we request that the mayor and city council
Direct city staff to
direct
work with- Okay.
staff to work with community planning groups.
Support. All right, the motion to support was approved with unanimous vote of 8-0.
Okay.
And then I've just added Don's writing. Further, the Peninsula Community Planning Board specifically opposes the proposed point rating system for parks. It would prevent Point Loma ever qualifying for new or expanded parks. Worse, it would allow money specifically allocated for Point Loma to be spent in other parts of the city. Point Loma has 2 proposed parks that can be added relatively inexpensively. We encourage the Park and Recreation Department and the City Council to pursue adding these parks. 1, a pocket park on city-owned land at the end of Avenida del Portugal, Cannon Street Park under the city's working title. This 3/4 acre site has been approved unanimously at every level, including the park board. It has been fully designed and is ready to go to bed. 2, 5 acres of open space. Famosa Canyon at Famosa and Nimitz Boulevard has been de facto open space parkland for the past 40 years. The San Diego Housing Commission is proposing to sell the land for $800,000 to a San Francisco organization, then loan back $900,000 of taxpayer money. Council President Jennifer Campbell has blocked the matter from being discussed by the City Council sitting as Housing Authority. The community overwhelmingly favors keeping the site as open space. The Peninsula Community Planning Board,
The board should be input.
yeah, asks that the matter be agendized.
Agendized or placed on the agenda.
Let it be placed on the agenda. Referred to committee. The motion to support was approved with unanimous vote of 8-0. Oh, we already had, thank you for your
We already had
support.
that.
Yeah, I can. Do you want me to leave that up here or down here?
I think that's good up higher. It really is forceful and just eliminate it at the bottom.
All right, the committee, thank you for your support and time concern. Okay, all right. Okay, so we have our letter. Is there any additional information you would like to have added to this letter?
I think this letter, Mandy, revised like this is loud and clear,
Okay.
hits the ask in a strong manner and gets the point across pretty
Okay.
clearly with facts.
Yeah, and I think it does, it brings it into our neighborhood and says, hey, look, here's example A, example B
Yeah.
of what we can do to help with this deficiency.
Yes,
Correct.
Could I suggest two things?
Yes,
Back up to the first page,
yes.
that you put a paragraph break, because we start out with a citywide plan. So the paragraph break, the second paragraph where Don says Point Loma has 2 proposed parks. The second large paragraph says,
Right here?
yeah, just.
Okay, right
yeah.
here, Point Loma, yes, right here.
Yeah, I really think that's a totally separate. Propose the point.
Would you like me to
I-
create a new paragraph?
I think so. Does that make sense? It's
I'm investing up that in 2. That's a good idea.
yeah, because the point system deals with the entire city. Okay, and
The
then
point system will keep us from ever having another park. in
well,
Point
yes, it
Loma.
will. Now, the second thing is, I just want to ask, here's a letter addressed to all the city council, including Jen Campbell. And then you're hammering Jen Campbell, I think, for blocking an action.
Yes.
She did.
She's removed it from the agenda. It was docketed at the end of the year and it's been removed and it's sent back to staff or.
You know, I will point out though, in my experience over the last 30 years, the city council is very reluctant to go along with something that your own city council person doesn't approve. So not having Jen Campbell on your side is a problem, but telling the rest of the council that Jen Campbell is not cooperating with you, they tend to disregard the whole letter because they're not going to want to overrule Jen on something.
That's the issue we're
And
finding. when
if you
take
don't
that
believe
sentence out.
us, feel free to join the Recall Jen.
No, I understand.
Mhm.
I understand.
I would agree with
Not
that.
you,
and
Tom.
I
I
would-
was saying city council.
I would agree with that. And the reason why is, as we've seen with letters brought before our board in the past, the wording of placing blame does not go well. And I know that they will not approve that. So I would like to ask that that be removed. I think it's getting the
concur.
point of,
Idea.
is that
I don't think
okay?
it-
Yeah.
All right, so we've got that. I agree with you on that. So, all right. So I think we have it. Is there any other additions to the letter that you would like to make? All right, so I'd
Now,
like,
is it loan back 900,000 or is it 910? Does it need to be specific?
I understood it to be 900,000. If you got a different figure, you're more knowledgeable than I am.
I thought it was 910. I think we need to look at that.
would we pull
Your
that up?
husband around?
No, he had a, hold on, let's see. I'm gonna take off the screen sharing, sorry.
Okay.
I'm just pulling it up from the Housing Commission. Thank you for. doing
Okay, I was trying to see where I could find it.
that.
Are we waiting on something?
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I don't, oh no, it was, no. I'm not finding it for the trade.
I know it was 900, but I thought it was 910. I didn't know if it was important that it had the exact amount or not.
How about we just, I will research that, that
Okay.
figure, make sure that it's accurate before I put it, but I think we'll leave it at that for now. And then I'll just make sure that that figure is correct. If it's 910,000, I will, modify that. All right, I think that's good. Did you want to go ahead and, I would like to make a motion to approve this letter.
I'll second it.
And
I'm
then
in
we'll
favor.
go for a vote.
Don, yes.
All right, so we have a letter of support for you. Tom?
And
What was the
Mandy,
vote?
is it your intention to go back to the board, or is the board already authorized you to write this letter?
It was only a week apart, and it would, since it's sent to committee, it needs to go back to the board.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the
Oh.
next board meeting is next Thursday, Tom.
What was the vote, Mandy? Because we're going to get asked that.
Well, it was unanimous. It was
Okay.
4-0.
All right.
All right, Tom, I will send over the draft letter for you, and then I will bring this to the board next Thursday. And then I will be sure to let you know of the outcome as soon as possible and
Okay, good.
forward any finalized letters or
Good.
correspondence to you.
Good. And, you know, as far as Don's 6.5 years on that project with the pocket park, I think we've all figured out very little happens in this city with the citizens not involved. In Uptown, someone gave land to the city 70 years ago. And then we started working on the park about 10 or 12 years ago. That's how long it took us to get a little half-acre park. So I wish we could get city council people who would do more of this for us. That's who's supposed to be doing this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Recall Jen, recall
Oh,
Jen.
Jen, you put
Well,
your
Oh
your
my
finger
goodness.
on it that we have a council president, a district person who doesn't support parks. And the other council members, you know, it's in her district. Why isn't she pounding a table? So
Have there
that's an
been
uphill fight here.
have there been any street demonstrations at Formosa Park, like something that got on television?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
If you go,
But we're happy to do another one with the new year.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
look, I found that the city starts paying attention when they see themselves on TV. When they see the sign that says Mayor Faulkner is ruining our community or Jen Campbell needs to support us, they or their aides go, hey, we can't handle this. We can't handle the entire city looking at stuff that's critical of you.
I think I'd like to hold a recall Jen Campbell campaign on Famosa Lot and kill two birds with one stone. Can you help us with the media, Tom?
I like it.
I'm serious.
I really like it.
Jen
So,
Campbell, this is your Famosa Canyon property here. Recall you at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's Margaret speaking. Someone in my group once said, Tom, you're too nice. I said, no, that's not true. You don't know me well enough. So I will also say Margaret knows how to be tough when she wants. I've seen that.
She does.
she
Yep.
does.
So does Mandy.
Oh, I'm trying, but hey, I really do thank you, Tom, for coming and bearing
Thank
with
you,
me
Tom.
on this.
Thank you, Tom.
We'll
Thank
be
you
in
very
touch.
much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Mom, thank you for making the world a better place with more parks.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, all for that.
All right, everyone, have a great evening. It's 7:12. The meeting is adjourned.
That's it? Oh, bummer.
So stop recording real quick. Can you stop